Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another video with On Point Politics. Make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. I already did a video on the latest national poll that was just released, and we actually even had more stuff released in terms of like an Israel and Palestine question. Who do you support more? We had 2028 polling in there as well, which is quite interesting if we actually look at it later on. I'll probably cover those either tonight or tomorrow. But we can see that we decided to poll streamer Nicholas J. Fuentes, who is the host of the America First podcast show. And we see that in basically a poll of 700 US adults, Nick ends up at about a 6% approval rating to a 33% approval rating, and 61% of voters are unsure or probably don't know their opinion of Nick himself. And so this is what we ended up getting when we polled them nationwide. And what's very interesting about the poll is if we go back to this, where I actually broke down several demographic groups in his approval rating. First of all, a lot more younger voters approve of him than older voters. You could see he has a 1% approval amongst plus 65, 45 to 64. He's got a 4% approve, 30 to 44. He's got a 9% approve, and 18 to 29. He's got a 12% approve amongst 18 to 29 year old U.S. adults. And we see there the party breakdown actually is a little bit more over here. We have him currently at about 8% favorable with Republicans. He's got a 5% approval rating with Democrats, which is quite fascinating. He's got a 4% approval with independents. And he also has a 7% approval rating with Trump 2024 voters. But when you look at the other 2024 votes, so people who voted Jill Stein, RFK, or other people, he has a 14% approval rating with those voters. So there is some sort of credibility to the notion that there probably was a couple thousand voters that didn't vote for Donald Trump because Nicholas J. Fuentes basically told them on his show to not vote for them. So there is actually some credibility that Trump could have possibly lost in New Hampshire or lost like a smaller margin, like possibly in New Hampshire. He probably lost out on a couple thousand votes. He probably lost out on a couple thousand votes in Wisconsin. It's not enough to tip the election in favor of Harris. It wouldn't have been enough to tip it in favor of Harris, but it was enough to like make a significant amount of the margin actually shift in some of these states. And that is a pretty remarkable finding here. Now, the biggest thing that we found here is that Nick is online. If you go to his Wikipedia page, he is technically considered a white supremacist and an anti-Semite. So this is what Wikipedia says. Again, this is not coming from myself, but this is what Wikipedia says. So of course, when people were probably taking our survey on Pollfish, they might have not known who he was, and they may have just looked up, and the first thing that probably comes up is this Wikipedia page. So it's understandable that his favorable is really skewed. He's also a 27-year-old streamer. We didn't expect the whole country to actually know who he was. So that's also something to consider. But right now, what's the most fascinating is despite all of those attributes on the Wikipedia page, he currently holds a 12% approval rating with Black voters nationwide, according to our survey. And this is the same survey that found Trump at 45% approve to 48% disapprove. Hispanic voters, we had Trump at 48% approve with Hispanics. Like, this is the same poll from earlier, the other video. And in the same poll, we find that Nick is only down on Vance like about 6 percentage points on his Black favorable rating. Vance only has like an 18% favorable rating with Black voters nationwide, and Nick is like really not even that much farther behind from even Vance, to be fair, with this group. And there's a lot of Hispanics that approve of him, a lot of Asians/others that approve of him in this poll. And of course, it is a 700 registered or a 700 U.S. adult poll. But at the same time, this is his first national poll that's ever been done before. There has been like 2 surveys done in regards to the dinner that Trump hosted with Ye and Nick back in 2022. And I believe there's another survey that kind of like indirectly references Nick. But other than that, right now, we are seeing something very interesting where somebody who is supposed to be this quote unquote white supremacist or whatever actually has much more support nationwide with minority voters than white voters, and is a lot more popular with younger voters, mostly because they know him more. So that's to be fair. But he's got almost as equal amount as Republican support as Democrat support. Like, he's sort of a not exactly the most divisive figure on a partisan line. Even if we look at the crosstabs, so like these are the full crosstabs that I copied over from the poll. If we look, he's got a 32, but like across the board, he's got like a 30 something unfavorable rating across the board. The only group where he hits 50% in either category is Harris 2024 voters. That's where a decent amount of his non-voter support comes from. But so that's also something interesting. Another thing is you see a lot more male support than female support, only 2% favorable support. Male support's at about 10%. But we see here with a bachelor's degree or more, you actually see 6% of voters who have attained a bachelor's degree in the United States actually approve of Nick, as opposed to only 5%. So he's got just as much as non-college support as he does actual support nationwide, which again is another really interesting find here. That is very, very interesting to see that is the case. And when you look at Trump 2024 voters, he's got a 7% favorable rating with them. He's got a 4% favorable rating with Harris voters from 24, which is like pretty interesting. And you actually see a lot more Democrats know who he is than even Republicans do, which is also another interesting thing to look at in the survey. A lot more Democrats actually know who he is than even like Republicans do. More Democrats are sure of his opinion, of their opinions of him, than even like independents are, which is also something quite interesting. And he only has a 20% unfavorable rating with Republicans. So that's something else to consider there as well. And with non-2024 voters, he's got about a 4% approval rating with them as well. So again, it's a very inconclusive poll. I mean, the fact that 40% of the nation even responded in the survey, like he's got 40% name ID in the whole country, is pretty impressive. And if you look at early polling of Donald Trump back in like 2011, 2012, he was polling in like the teens in approval rating, and he had like a 30 something. He had a higher unfavorable rating than Nick even had at the time, and he was polling in like the teens. So Nick is actually starting out nationwide with a less net negative favorable rating than even like Donald Trump did in his earlier polling back from like the early 2010s. So that is something very interesting to see what is going on. This is something very interesting to actually see this take place and to kind of take shape. But other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it for this. I kind of just wanted to do this as its own video because I thought it really deserved the attention that it needed. Because right now, Nick is like, if you really look at polling online, I mean, Nick is pretty much destroying like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens in public opinion online. And he's destroying a lot of these like online groups, a lot of these like election people, a lot of these like establishment people. You know, he is like winning the narrative war on them. So I thought it was necessary to pull him. I think in our next national poll, we'll include another national figure. I think next time maybe we'll do Charlie Kirk or Patrick Bet-David. I think we'll probably end up doing Charlie Kirk next just to see what we get. I think it'd be interesting to see how it would come out if we did a poll with Charlie. But if you guys did enjoy this quick video, make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. And if you guys want to see more polling like this, make sure to go down in the description below and donate to our GoFundMe, where we are accepting more donations for more national polling that we are going to be conducting as the years go on. And probably in the future, we'll throw him in another national poll. It won't probably be for a while, but we may throw him in another one in about a year's time to see if there's any changes. So I think we'll probably include him in at least like one a year, depending on, the certain environments. Maybe if something crazy happens, maybe we'll include him again. But I thought it was interesting to include him in this poll, and we got some very interesting results. So if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. And I will see you guys in the next video.